ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Moskalensky show. I'm not sure exactly as to why I clapped at the beginning of the episode, but anyways, we're going to jump right into things. And we already have our first caller. Hello, caller, what's your name?
Hello, my name is Samantha.
You're playing my video. Excuse me, you're watching the live stream, just so anyone knows who doesn't want to call in. If you're planning on watching the live stream, please either do one or the other. Please pause. If you're planning on watching the live stream, sorry, I'm waiting for things to catch up. There we go. Please pause. Oh my gosh. Is it paused yet? I'm going to have to kick you from the call. Please pause the video. Oh my gosh. Are we good? Is it paused yet? Okay, I'm sorry. It looks like there's some technical difficulties with the caller on the other line. If you can hear me, I'm going to have to boot you from the call temporarily. If this is intentional, please don't call in again. If this is unintentional, please sort out your technical difficulties and call back. If this is intentional, please don't call in again. Finally. Please sort out your technical difficulties and call back. What? Okay, that's very weird. We have some technical glitches, it seems. I'm going to try coming back to the site in a couple of minutes. That was very strange. Excuse me? What? I'm going to try coming back to the site in a couple of minutes. That was very strange. Excuse me? What? It's an infinite loop. That's because I have the video playing. I'm an idiot. Anyways, hello everyone. Welcome to the Moskalensky show. That's a very interesting way to begin an episode. So yeah, we're coming back on right now. That was interesting. Yeah. Anyways, we're not going to talk about that anymore. We're going to do an extension of the show. Sorry about that. That's just me getting the software ready again.
Call is provided by Uber.
So we're going to extend the show a bit.
Please hold while we wait.
And there we go. We are going to extend the show in length a little bit because I'm an idiot. That was like the dumbest thing I think I've ever done. I booted that fine caller. If you're still listening to my show, I'm so sorry. That was not your fault. So whoever you are, please call back. I'd like to apologize to you in person because that was entirely my fault. I'm sorry about that. Anyways, the number, if anyone would like to call in, the number is 719-284-5873 with the pin 24777. Once again, the number is 719-284-5873 with the pin 24777. There aren't 8 million sevens. I don't know why I said that many sevens. It's 24777. Now to get into our first topic, starting now at 3:03, which is Star Trek. We'll be ending at 4:03. So the reason I want to bring this up is we have recently finished the original Star Trek series. We are working on finishing The Next Generation, and we have just started Deep Space Nine, which so far I'm loving. And by the way, Benjamin Sisko is the best captain. Forget Captain Kirk, forget Captain Picard. Sisko is the best. Do not listen to what anybody else says. So here's the thing about that. I wanted to talk about this, for these reasons, but, you know, if I did everything based on this show, if I did everything on this show based off what I watched, I'd never stop talking about Smash, school, and my morbid obesity. So I also wanted to bring it up because of the fact that Star Trek Discovery is going to be on pretty soon. So those of you who don't know what Star Trek Discovery is, CBS, which has been hosting Star Trek since the original series back in 1966, they've been coming out with every Star Trek show since. Even Star Wars is taking over the Star Trek section. Unbelievable. And after the miserable failure known as Enterprise was canceled, they kind of stopped with shows for a while. That is until the announcement of Star Trek Discovery, which is going to be their newest show. I believe it is a prequel to the original show, direct prequel, taking place about a decade beforehand. And it should have Spock on his original ship. I think even before Captain Pike, or the one in between, something of the sort. And I do believe Spock was with Captain Pike. If I'm wrong, please feel free to call in, correct me. Once again, the number is 719-284-5873 with the pin 24777. Excuse me for that. Sorry about that. Once again, the number is 719-284-5873 with the pin 24777. Real quick, I want to explain that glitch in the beginning. I had the episode playing, and it must have started there must have been like a feedback glitch, because I always like to look at it right before we start. There must have been like a feedback glitch. So after a sufficient amount of audio, say with two people interrupting each other, like it was at the very beginning there with that caller. And again, please feel free to call back. I would like to apologize if you're listening, or if at any point you're going to listen. I would like to apologize immensely for that. That was not your fault. You did not deserve to be booted. So yeah, I had the feedback going, and I assumed it was coming from her end of the line or his or her end of the line. It sounded like a her. Due to the fact that there was still the audio, it seemed like it was playing from her side. So that's a in-depth explanation on that. Nobody's fault, except for my own. So anyways, back to the topic at hand, which is once again Star Trek. Now, many people are extremely excited for this show, but they always have been. I actually have a bad feeling. I've never been the most optimistic person. I mean, I am compared to a lot of other people in my family, but I'm not the most optimistic of people on the entirety of the earth. And that is because life. But it's just due to the fact that simply, hello caller. Well, I'll get to you in 1 second. Just want to finish a point. It's just the fact that, how do I word this? It's the fact that Star Trek has always been a very weird thing. People did not expect Star Trek the original to be very good. It was good. They didn't expect Next Gen to be good. It was good. Everybody thought Enterprise was going to be this amazing thing, Star Trek Enterprise. That show was terrible. And now we're going to get some caller feedback. Hello, caller. What's your name?
Hello, my name is Samantha. Call back.
Oh, no. Are you the one I hung up on?
Yeah, I called back now. So
I am so sorry about that. That was a technical glitch on my end, not yours. Terribly sorry about that. But anyways, please, Samantha, feel free to stick along for this. Please feel free to stick along for the duration of the show, or at least as long as you'd like to. Call back as you'd like to, unless of course you have too many people calling in at one point. Our current topic at the moment is Star Trek. Have you heard about Star Trek Discovery?
no.
Okay, so again, recap for everyone who doesn't know. Star Trek Discovery is the new Star Trek show that's going to be starting later this month. And I wanted to talk about this because typically Star Trek always defies the odds. I talked about the fact that not many people were expecting too much from the original Star Trek and Star Trek The Next Generation, and those were very good shows on the overall hand. Whereas people were expecting this amazing, just outstanding show from Star Trek Enterprise, which was the last show, I believe, before the new one, which will be coming out again later this month. And Star Trek Enterprise was terrible. I'm sure some people will disagree with that, but it was. If you have trusted my word so far, and you want to continue to do so, if you do not want to ruin your own opinion of Star Trek, please do not watch Star Trek Enterprise. And my fear is that Star Trek. Sorry to get a bit political here, but Star Trek, they've always been about, I guess, moving forward politically, and by forward I mean left. And my fear is that, like, back in the age of the 60s, this was actually, it was striving from a more like racist, sexist towards an actual mode of equality. But since we're already in that mode of equality in our modern time, I feel like it's going to turn into some big PC denouncement, I guess you could call it, of Star Trek's name. So, Samantha, do you think that Star Trek Discovery is going to be good?
Well, it kind of depends, because many viewers still love Star Trek, so they might enjoy it. And some viewers think, oh, like, this is kind of getting old. I will watch it, but I don't know. But yeah, it depends.
But that's more of a demographic deal that we're going to get into in just a second here. But in terms of pure quality of the show, like, do you think Star Trek Discovery is going to be good or bad based off trailers, based off of past experiences with other Star Treks. Like most of the Star Trek stuff has been good, but more of the later stuff hasn't been quite as good. Do you think it's like an overused concept and they're just trying to exploit nostalgia, kind of like Ghostbusters, the new Ghostbusters did, or do you think it's actually going to be something new, cool, and creative?
Yeah, I think it's going to be cool and creative.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
That's pretty interesting. And actually, I want to move towards what you mentioned earlier, and thank you for bringing that up, by the way, is about the demographic. I can almost guarantee, actually, I can guarantee, 95% of people who will be watching Star Trek Discovery. No, okay, not 95. 90%, I can guarantee this, though. 90% or more of people who will be watching Star Trek Discovery will stick through the entire show regardless of how good it is because of nostalgia. I can guarantee that. And that's actually one of the big problems with TV this day, or entertainment in general these days. And I'm actually going to be getting into this a bit more in our final section. So Samantha, if you'd like, you can either stick around or call back for that part, because that's going to be very interesting. Probably the best section of this particular show. But so many people now, it's almost like a formula nowadays, where like if you put in nostalgia plus recognizable actors and celebrities plus a brand, which is pretty easy to get behind, it's going to turn into an almost guaranteed success. And that's really my fear, that they're going to focus more on selling it and turning it into a product rather than a work of art. You see what I'm saying? Sorry, what? That didn't pick up.
I said yeah.
Because you look at a movie, I know this is like my favorite punching bag right now, but you look at like the Emoji Movie as an example. That movie was a product first, or no, it was an advertisement. It was an advertisement and then it was a movie. It focused mostly on promoting itself. It focused on like a new hip trend and tried to exploit that for the sole purpose of making money. And by the way, I think they barely broke bank on that movie. They barely split even. Whereas people don't realize, like, if they stop trying so hard, it's actually going to come to them more naturally. Do you want, as an example, I know this is quite an interesting example, but Shrek, that was a film first and an advertisement second. I mean, jokes aside, because I know Shrek is like the #1 meme of 2011, but jokes aside, would you say at least the first Shrek was a good movie?
Yeah, but the other ones got a little bit crazy.
Exactly, and that's actually a point, and I think that's my sad feeling as to what's going to happen with Star Trek Discovery. And I'm probably going to be doing another segment on the show about Star Trek once the show gets going, so I can actually like reflect on this show. And by the way, real quick before I finish this statement, I want to mention that we had a technical glitch, and the show number is 13. 13th show, and I've already had a technical glitch. So that's fantastic. It's lucky number, I guess. But anyways, as I was saying, like that's my sad feeling as to what's going to happen with Star Trek. They're going to make it more of an advertisement rather than a product or a film. Samantha, can you think of any examples of one or the other, be it something that's more of a film and less of an advertisement, or vice versa? Like, think of a movie. We'll debunk it. I'll bet you this is why you don't like it, and I'll debunk this right now. Think of a movie or a show that you really like or really dislike. Anything, any show that you really like or dislike.
Can be any TV show or any movie.
Sure.
I would say the most thing that I would dislike is Frozen.
Frozen. Good to hear that we have some fellow Frozen haters on this show, because I stand tall and strong with you. I could not stand Frozen, but then again, one of the things I thought, okay, Frozen, here's the thing. I dislike Frozen but not for the same reason I dislike most other animated movies. I actually talked about this on my top 10 worst movies and video games of 2016 about Sing, the movie Sing. And I pretty much debunked that this movie was more of an advertisement rather than a film. It focused on appealing to the largest demographic possible with as many celebrities as possible, and trying to be as cheap as possible, trying to do all these things. They want to get the most bank possible with the least effort possible, and the result of doing something like that is Sing. I actually don't think Frozen is a good example of this particular thing, but I do see your point in general, because Frozen, I mean, why do you dislike Frozen?
Well, the reason why I dislike Frozen is because it was like, I didn't really like the movie itself, but it was good for a little while, but it started getting old, and the companies like Disney started selling toys and products for little children, and like they get a lot of money for it, you know. Well, yeah, that's the whole point of it, but I don't know, I just don't like it.
Right, and I understand that. And I think, but the actual movie itself, I see what you're saying about that, and I think that is one of the reasons that Frozen. Whoa, that was weird. I think that's one of the reasons Frozen is bad, is because like they exploited it way too much. But the thing is, the movie purely itself is not a blatant advertisement, whereas or an attempt at exploring nostalgia or anything like that. The movie in and of itself. Whereas another show or movie like the Emoji Movie, I really love beating that dead horse, but that's a perfect example of all the things that are wrong with the movie, including the corporate end of it. And I just fear that that's going to be the same thing for Star Trek Discovery. That they're just going to get too swept up in their own cash, and they're not actually going to get as much. Because I understand that businesses want to make money. Obviously, nothing new. Everyone, it's the dawn of time kind of thing. I mean, that's something that's been going on forever, and I don't blame them, because they have to put food on their table. But when you get to the point where it becomes more of you become more worried about making an advertisement or a product rather than making something of entertainment or something that people will actually enjoy, not just something people will buy. That's when it goes too far, and that's when you're going to go out of business. That's a short-term solution, not a long-term solution, because people are going to figure it out eventually. Anyways, we will now be moving on to our second segment. Samantha, feel free to stay or go as long as you'd like to, unless, of course, we get crowded with a ton of people calling in, but that doesn't seem likely as of yet. But if anyone would like to call in and talk about, this is going to be more of a philosophical segment on phenomenon. I hope I pronounced that right, because I have allergies right now. I assure you I'm not sick. I have allergies right now due to the terrible smoke in Washington State. There's a bunch of smoke in the air from a bunch of nearby fires. So it's very nice breathing over here. Luckily, we haven't needed gas masks or anything like that, but it's not exactly pleasant. So we're going to be talking about more of a philosophical segment right now, phenomenon. Now, Samantha, have you ever had a major phenomenon happen in your life? Anything of even anything at all, really?
Not really.
So you've never had something unexpected happen to you, like something that kind of out of the blue. Could be anything.
Oh, well, well, I can't think about it right now, but no, not really.
That's actually a surprising answer, because I've actually asked several people this question when I was thinking about this show. And most, actually pretty much all of them, with the exception of you, said, yeah. And the answer for me is exactly the same. It doesn't have to be something major like winning the lottery, but the thing about that is so interesting is like how life works like that. I mean, this is it's not the best example, but it's still an example. Samantha, have you ever played Super Smash Bros? Any of them?
Yes, I have.
Yes, you have. Do you know the character Mr. Game & Watch?
Nope.
Well, Mr. Game & Watch is, I believe he was there since Melee, one of the best games of all time, Smash Melee, 10 out of 10. But Mr. Game & Watch, the thing about him is his side special or side B, depending on how you want to call it, he gets a hammer out, and there are different numbers that come out between 1 and 9. And obviously you have a 1 in 9 chance of getting each number. The lower the number, the less force of the attack. The higher the number, the more force of the attack. With numbers 1 and 2 being useless. I think 3 through 8 have some special powers, like 3 can break shield, 5 is electric, 6 sets you on fire, 8 has ice, something like that. Or like 8 freezes you. But if you get the number 9, on the Game & Watch, the highest number you can possibly get, if you hit them, you can be at 0% and it will kill immediately. No question. Isn't that pretty cool?
Yeah.
Now,
Impressive.
sorry, what?
Nothing.
Oh, okay, sorry. But this is the thing. I mean, this is obviously a video game example, but I mean, one time I saw a video with no hacks, and it's been confirmed, no hacks, where someone got 5 9 hammers in a row. Let me explain the odds to you. So you'd have to do 9 to the 5th power. That would be because, 1 out of 9 multiplied by 1 out of 9 and so on 5 times. The odds of this happening are 1 in 59,049. 1 in 60,000. The odds are about, let's just simplify. The odds are about 1 in 60,000, which makes the percentage approximately, there's an approximate, rounded off to the nearest thousandth, 0.002% chance of this happening. 0.002%. The odds of you looking up in the sky and seeing a flying saucer are probably higher right now. Honestly, that's probably, if you look up, if you're in a car, or if you're in your house, Samantha, where are you right now? I mean, like, just what general location?
In my room.
All right, that's in your house. If you look out your window right now, there's not going to be a flying saucer. I mean, if you want, you can go do it right now. I'm looking out the office window. I'm not seeing any flying saucers. I guess I'm part of the 99.998% of people who have not seen a flying saucer. Or just as an example, because that's pretty much the odds of getting that 5 9 hammers in a row. But this is my point. How can things happen like this? I mean, this is just one example. Another example is a couple months ago, there was this massive California lottery. And this guy, I think it was like the first or second time he had ever gone to a lottery. He put in his lottery ticket. He got a lottery ticket. And he won back $777 million. Out of about, I think, 1 or 2 million people who entered. He alone, a little shopkeeper, on some Los Angeles street or something like that, won enough money to buy several zoos, probably more. He could probably buy SeaWorld with that. I mean, how does stuff happen like that? And I mean, no one has an answer to that. I mean, I don't like to consider my callers stupid, but come on, you guys don't have the answer to everything, and nor frankly do I. I mean, it's just amazing how something like this can happen sometimes. Anyways, it looks like we've just had a disconnect call-wise. That's weird. Interesting. That's very weird. I guess the person on the other end of the line must have hung up, or their battery ran out, or something or other. But it's just amazing to me how something like this can work. How? How though? I mean, I know it's kind of weird to see me, Oh, look, I'm literally just talking. I'm just saying the word how again. Um, it's like how. Um, but I mean, just think about something like that happening. And you probably, maybe not to this extent, because most people don't win multi-$100 million lotteries, but you've probably had something unlikely happen to you in your lifetime. Think about it. Just think about it. All right, you done? Good. Nah, I'm just kidding, man. But this is the thing that fascinates me. Um, is how can something like this happen? I mean, I again, not to get too into stuff here, but there's got to be some sort of force of. There's got to be something going on. I mean, heck, you can believe that we're, I don't know, in a computer simulation for all I care, and this is all planned out. But how can these 1 in a million, billion, trillion, gajillion chance things happen? How? Interesting thing to ponder. But it's just fascinating how life can work sometimes. I mean, you look at, say, what's another example? You look at a fish that winds up in an aquarium. Out of all these, how many fish are there in the ocean? I'm gonna look this up. There, I'm sure there's no answer. How many fish are there in the ocean? There are more than 230,000 species of fish in the ocean. In species, 230,000 species. Actually, here's the exact number: 228,450 by Business Insider, 2015. Yeah, 2015. That's just species number. And don't even get me started on that number. Just don't. No, because I'm scrolling. Looks like no one has an answer, or at least no one. No credible sources. But there must be. If there are hundreds of thousands of species, there must be tens, if not hundreds, of millions of different kinds of life in our ocean, and a couple hundred to a couple thousand get put in a couple aquariums in California. Why them? Or why them? Why them? I mean, you look at I was actually at SeaWorld one time. One of the most tiring and longest experiences of my life. I actually wrote this on my Crazy Life Stories collection. But you look, I was talking about a manta ray that for some reason hated me and nobody else. And by the way, speaking of phenomenon, there's another one. Out of like 3 dozen people who were touching it kept trying to shock me. Like the overside of it was safe to touch, and typically it let people touch it, but the underside was electric. It was only a little bit electric. Like if you touch like the middle of it, then it's gonna be a real problem. But you can't, not unless you like go in the water or something, or the guy's like turned over, which it doesn't do. Like if it touches the side, it'll just sting with it. That's it. So there's like and no one could figure out why. Like I kept washing my hands. We looked at my hands and everything. I wasn't like digging in with my nails. Like one of the instructors specifically like put my hand in, like touching my hand, like exactly how to do it. And still, just the guy hated me. But why that one specific manta ray? Out of all of the manta ray in the world, there's one manta ray in that one tub right by the roller coaster, like about 5 to 10 meters away from the roller coaster. Kind of interesting philosophical debate on the day after my birthday. Yeah. But it's fascinating to think about just how life operates. All right, no, just kidding. No more long swaths of silence. But I mean, it's just amazing, and sometimes things can happen. I mean, obviously, it's never something when the odds go correctly. Like, take for instance, the time Lord Mix. No, what's a better example? Let's take an example of Nairo beating Zero in Super Smash Con 2017. They were both playing as their mains. Nairo playing as Zero Suit Samus, Zero playing as Diddy Kong. They were both playing as their mains. And Nairo won. And Nairo right now is the 4th best player in the world, I believe. And Zero is the best player, but and the matchup is pretty even. I think Diddy Kong versus Zero Suit Samus, it's a pretty even matchup. So completely even matchup, but Zero is somewhat slightly better than Nairo. The fact that Nairo won, yeah, the odds were not in his favor, but they were not terribly stacked against it. Although I have seen times where random people on For Glory who have never even gone to a tourney could beat Nairo's Zero Suit Samus. Not often, but it does happen. To beat the world's 4th best player as their best character is something, I mean, how? You know? And it's not like going under an alias or anything. You can look at their Miis like they've never been seen before. And this is just what fascinates me, is how can life work like that? Anyways, sorry for all this depressing debate on nothing really. We're going to be getting right now into our 3rd segment, which is going to be about well, actually, it's not going to be about anything. It's going to be about my free-for-all section. I don't know, why do I keep saying about it? It's going to be my free-for-all section. To those of you who don't know, my free-for-all section is a section where you can pretty much talk about anything, really, as long as it's somewhat relevant to topics we've had before, and it's PG. Or PG-13 at the very most. So that's going to be our free-for-all subject. I don't want to dive into the 4th subject since I feel like it's something that I want to handle in the last 15 minutes of the show. Maybe we'll start it a bit earlier, something like that, if like with a couple minutes or a minute. But that stuff doesn't matter. Not that couple minute span. I just don't want to start talking about it very much right now. Not like my last show where I could just dig right into it immediately. So one thing I wanted to do is I wanted to look at some new movies. Now, many of you might be asking, why just talk about movies? But first of all, no one right now is on the line. We're not holding anyone back. So I just want to kind of talk about some movies that are out right now. And we're going to be starting, well, first we got It, which, by the way, came out yesterday on my birthday. Now, It, I'm not a fan of the horror genre. And frankly, it's surprising me that this movie did so good, considering most horror movies nowadays. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that, because people are fairly gullible nowadays. I mean, think about it. Like, the horror genre, it now relies mostly on jump scares, and based off the It trailer, it looks like that as well. It's meant to be purely. It's just purely meant to be pure. It's purely meant to be jump scares, and that's actually one of my main complaints with Five Nights at Freddy's is, even though it has a fascinating story, the whole scaring thing is a jump scare. One of the reasons I like book horror so much, or at least the way I do it, and a lot of other talented authors do it. I'm not necessarily calling myself a skilled or talented author. I'm not exactly Greg Hurwitz or Brandon Sanderson. But I'd like to think of myself as not terrible. But I know I got this part down. Like people have said this of all different kinds. I got this part down. Is due to the fact that whenever I do a scary part in a book, I do not rely on terribly gory, jump scary-esque shock elements. And in my view, way too many horror movies nowadays are doing this. We need to go back to when horror We didn't have all these high budgets. We had low budget, which means we have to get creative. We have to have weird special effects. We have to have interesting sound manipulation. We have to have a clever story, an interesting, shocking reveal. That is horror. So even though it is highly rated, I'm not planning on watching it, and personally I think it's going to be bad. The next thing I wanted to talk about, well, actually, I was about to bring up Annabelle's, whatever it's called, but that movie, I mean, I kind of just talked about it, Annabelle's Recreation or whatever. Home Again, wasn't hard to predict that comedy was going to be bad. I mean, looked terrible to begin with. I mean, it just looked like another desperate attempt at just trying to, like, exploit real life humor in a movie, which just did not work at all. One movie I'm extremely looking forward to is Gun Shy. 0% came out yesterday. Oh my gosh. No. What I'm really looking forward to is the new Kingsman movie. Kingsman, fantastic movie. If anyone is okay with, if anyone here is okay with watching rated R movies and your parents are okay with it, cannot recommend Kingsman enough. Kingsman, fantastic. Actually, funny little story behind Kingsman. I saw this movie, and I was feeling completely fine when we came in, or at least mostly. I had a tiny little headache beforehand, but nothing, not as bad as my Angry Birds one. That's a little joke from the last show. If anyone would like to go check that out, that one will make sense. Make show. But we went in, we saw Home, and my dad refused to watch it. He had like this terrible feeling about the movie that it would just be terrible. So my mom, my sister, and I, we went to watch Home, and in the same theater, Dad went to see Kingsman, The Secret Service, the first Kingsman. I came out of the movie theater wanting to swallow a bowling ball. Home is terrible. Home is a terrible, terrible movie. Do not watch Home. I don't care if you're a kid. I don't care if you're an adult. I don't care what you are. Home is going to be bad for all of you. It's weird. It makes no sense. Nothing about it is good. Home stinks. Terrible. Terrible movie. No. Stay away. But I kind of interestingly, a little word of advice. If you even have a tiny headache, it doesn't matter why, you don't. Actually, if you have any ache, no matter how tiny, you don't go into the movie theater. You do not go into the movie theater. Because while you're in the movie theater, you're going to be okay. As soon as you come out, you're not. Remember that little headache I brought up earlier? Yeah, well, we went out, and at first I was okay. First, actually, the thing was gone. And I did not realize that at the time this was the start of a flu that I got. Pretty nasty one as well. It was a really short one, but it's one of those like absolutely horrific ones that was just really, really bad. Okay, not horrific, but it was a really bad flu. I felt terrible. So my dad comes out. We wait for like another couple minutes, or maybe he met us there. Either way, it did not take long. The movies I think were about the same roughly length, so I forget which one of us waited, but it wasn't very long. And we start going out, and as soon as I see sunlight, the headache just kicked in like you would not believe. It's kind of weird. I have a high tolerance for physical pain. Not like, I'm not a super soldier, but I have a relatively high pain tolerance physically. So I remember, oh yes, here's an example. I remember when I mashed my thumb against the table against the ping pong table, the hardwood ping pong table, while I shoved myself, my whole body, and again, I'm fat, I'm really fat, against the thumb, and while the bone nearly started, I think there was like a bone crunch sound or something like that. Like the bone was definitely screwed up to an extent. I did not cry then. Hurt like heck. I cannot tell you how loud I yelled, but I did not cry. I cried because of that. I cried big time because of that headache. So you know, but then again, that's because of the movie. No, but I remember then I went to go see, not the same day. We saw this about a couple weeks later, I think. My dad, he liked it so much that he bought Kingsman, and he had me watch it. And at this point, I had already watched Scarface. Like, don't worry, I'm good. I'm good. Don't worry. Um, and I watched Kingsman, and it was already a pretty good day for me, like just in general. And then that day became so much better. Oh, if anyone is looking for a good movie, Kingsman. Kingsman, Kingsman, Kingsman. Kingsman, if you're listening, or people, whatever company is making Kingsman, I think it's 20th Century, but I'm not sure. If you guys want someone to sponsor your movie, I'm here. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm totally good for that. But I think that's gonna be it for now. At least on the movie end of it, unless, well, at least that's definitely gonna be it for I almost said Inside Out. No, not Inside Out. That's gonna be it for, excuse me, did I brain.jpg has expired. That's gonna be it for Kingsman. Kingsman, there we go. People were asking me to finish up the dissecting pig story, since a lot like the prequels, actually, no, never mind. The third one was the best Star Wars prequel. Never mind. I was gonna say that the first one is the best, second is the worst, third is okay. But yeah, people wanted me to finish up the third one with the dissecting pig story, and actually, people wanted me to read more from my crazy life stories in general. So I think I'm gonna do that after I finish the dead pig story. I'm gonna move on to the SeaWorld story, and then after that, we should be right on time for our final segment, which I'm very excited for. And if anyone would like to call in and talk about that, we'd love to have your call. And the number is 719-284-5873 with the PIN 24777. Once again, the number is 719-284-5873 with the PIN 24777. Since, on my sister's birthday, my parents had already bought me my gifts, because my birthday, her birthday is August 31st, mine is September 8th. So I had found my gift a bit prematurely. Well, actually, I hadn't found it. My dad showed it to me because he couldn't wait any longer. And it was a phone. Very nice phone. My first real phone. And I'm liking it so far. I've had it since the 31st, and so far I'm liking it. And I have my own phone number on it, and I'm afraid one of these days I'm going to screw up, and I'm going to start giving away my real phone number. Because, man, I do not want that. If anyone listened to show 10, you know what would happen. I'd never be able to get any real calls on my real phone. So, man, I'm gonna have to scrap an entire episode if I ever accidentally start giving away my own number. But luckily I haven't. And if I have, boy, I really hope I haven't, because I haven't noticed. But anyways, without further ado, the final part, Godfather Part 3. Without further ado, Godfather, The Empire Strikes Back 3. The Dead Pig Story, Part 3 of 3. Tuesday, June 6th, 2017. Before we hop into the conclusion of this epic trilogy directed by Michael Bay, I'd like to just say that sadly there is more coming. A two-parter talking about 2 of my days in camp. Not talking about my first camp, which was some 3-hour-a-day baby stuff. I'm talking about the overnight out in the boonies camp. Anyways, without further ado, I don't want to do this either. And yeah, I know I said that way back July 28th, but I'll come out with it at some point. I'm still recovering psychologically. So to recap, intestines out, and now we're going for the heart. For once, I didn't have to start it off, and we got cutting at around 10:45. 15 minutes after class started, since we wanted to go over some stuff. Caleb made a couple of people throw up, and of course, Caleb and I were again the only volunteer to go get the pigs. First, Samantha had to start clearing space for Caleb so he could make the initial incisions to get the heart out. Wow, I hate allergy. This stinks. This is terrible. Now, at the time, I was not informed of this because wait, no, I'm right. Now, at the time, I was not informed of this because guess who would have to do final decisions? If you guessed Kyle, you'd be right about one thing. His name is Kyle. Now that you're utterly confused, allow me to get back to what I was doing while Samantha tried to cut away. Evelyn gave me moral support, and Caleb and Kyle were squealing like pigs, also for moral support, I guess. Now, the diehard fans of this trilogy should know a lot about it. That should include my favorite pastime, terrorizing people I don't like. As each class went by, I nearly got caught more and more times, but every time I slipped away with you are all horrible people, you're looking like you enjoy this. I hate allergies, man. Cutting the script real quick. I really, really hate allergies. All you people out there with allergies, I know your pain, and sadly, we will have time to finish this part of the dead pig story if I stop interrupting myself, but we will not have time to go into my SeaWorld story. So if you guys would like me to do some more reading sections, let me know. Looks like we have a caller. Hello, caller. You're on the Ben Moskalensky Show. What's your name?
What's going on, dude? My name is Ted.
Hello, Ted. Great to have your call here on the Ben Moskalensky Show. We're in our final minutes of the free-for-all section. This is not the last section, though. This is the second last, and then we're going to be going to a very exciting section. So I'm just gonna we can talk about whatever you want for these next couple of minutes, and then we're going to be jumping into our final section. Was it Ted?
Yeah, Ted House.
Ted. Don't need the last name, and luckily that didn't pick up on the mic. Ted, great to have you on the call. So what would you like to talk about during our free-for-all section?
Well, I'd like to talk about what I'm a new caller to the show. I'm a new viewer. I just stumbled upon this. I just want to what's your show like? Like, what do you guys tend to do around here?
Well, typically on this show, there's a wide variety of topics, and this is actually a perfect way to end up the free-for-all section. And for any other listeners who'd like to know, this show you can talk about anything during the free-for-all section, but during the other three sections, I have specific categories set up. It's sort of meant to be. It's a lot like a lot of radio shows, like the Rush Limbaugh show, Sean Hannity show, Mark Levin, and so on. But except theirs are a bit more structured. These deals have more separated topics, and they're split into 15-minute categories typically. Like as an example, the first. So as an example, the first 15 minutes of this show were about Star Trek. The next 15 minutes was more of a philosophical debate, and we are now in our third section, which is always free for all. Every show it's free for all, and we're going to be moving on to our final section right about now, which is going to be about celebrities and all my problems with them. So hopefully, Ted, can you stick around for a little while?
Yeah, I can stick around for a while. Yeah, I've got some time on my hands.
You got some time?
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. Sounds good. Great to have you, though. I always like new callers. And if you enjoyed the experience, feel free to call in as many shows as you'd like to. Anyways, the reason I wanted to do this segment today was because of Jennifer Lawrence. Now, I'm sure most of you know who Jennifer Lawrence is. She's a movie actress. She's been in. Can't even begin to name how many movies, a lot of which I actually liked. Like, I adored X-Men Apocalypse, and she was in it. But you see, Jennifer Lawrence herself, I'm not quite as much of a fan of her as I am some of her acting skills. Have you heard about the recent controversy regarding Jennifer Lawrence, Ted?
Well, I haven't heard too much about it, but I also have a really good celebrity thing, like controversy that I want to touch up upon real quick.
Love to hear about that as long as it's PG, but we got 14 more minutes on this segment, so we have time to get to yours, but I want to talk about this real quick. So we got a quote from Jennifer Lawrence. You know you're watching these hurricanes now, and it's really hard, especially while promoting this movie, not to feel Mother Nature's rage and wrath. So what she is referring to, first of all, the movie she's referring to is her new movie, Mother, a horror movie. And like I talked about earlier on the show, my problem with horror movies is the fact that they all now rely on jump scares. Hello, we have another caller. Hello, caller. What's your name?
Die nigger. Die nigger.
Oh my gosh, some people are idiots. That was unbelievable. I'm so sorry about that. That was beyond weird. That was weird. Okay. That was the dumbest thing. Anyways, to get back to it, looks like our other caller left as well, sadly. But anyways, the thing about Jennifer Lawrence that makes me so mad is the fact that she's exploring this. I actually talked about Jimmy Kimmel in the same light. The fact that Jimmy Kimmel is exploiting these terrible things that are happening for political propaganda. Because the reason she thinks that Mother Nature is giving away her rage and wrath upon America is because we elected President Trump. And this is not something I think. This is not a popular theory. It says so. I'm reading this off the Fox News Instagram. And this is their caption. Quote, "It's also scary to know that climate change is due to human activity and we continue to ignore it," unquote. This is also a quote from Jennifer Lawrence that they quoted in their comment. Jennifer Lawrence implied the series of devastating hurricanes could be nature's wrath for President they tagged him for President Donald Trump winning the election. This is such a stupid thing. It's actually the dumbest thing. And the thing that just makes me so unbelievably mad is how they exploit these terrible events. You know what's going on in Houston, right? Or Houston. Well, actually, that's part of it, but I think. But just Texas in general. You want to know what's going on in Texas right now? Hurricane Harvey. And the community has never been close. So they're all banding together, and it sucks that this only happens during travesties and tragedies, but at least it's happening sometimes. Better than never, I suppose, but it would be nice if we could get together in the times of hello? Hello? Is this Ted?
Hey, it's Ted again. I got disconnected.
Yeah, I'm so sorry about that spam call. That guy was an idiot. So anyways, Ted, as I was saying.
He's a real nigger.
Exactly. What? I mean, unbelievable. But anyways, like I was saying, anyways, sorry, that just made me so mad. Speaking of mad, I'm getting mad a million ways right now. But anyways, like I was saying,
these people are real dickheads.
These people are idiots. Prefer you did not use that language on the show, but these people are just complete idiots.
I'm sorry, dude.
No problem. At least you're kind about it. At least you understand. But anyways, Ted, good to see that you're back. But anyways, Jennifer Lawrence is referring to the fact that President Trump had won the election. So all these horrible hurricanes and stuff it's all because it's Mother Nature incurring her wrath on the people of America because they elected President Trump. Now, what makes me so mad about this is I can almost guarantee you she doesn't believe this. And even if she does, it's so stupid that so many people are buying into this. This is one of the problems with so many celebrities nowadays. Back in the days of good celebrities that people respected.
I'm sorry to cut you off here, but I need to voice this opinion real quick. This is serious celebrity beef.
Sure. As long as it's all PG and not like that idiot spam caller. Voice it away.
So, I heard that Chris Brown was leaving his gig, after he's at a show, and this heckler came over to Chris Brown and just started shouting, "Nigger, nigger, nigger, nigger."
Please do not quote that specific word.
Yeah. It just got fucked up.
Again, it would be preferred if you do not use what's the term? Foul language on the show. But anyways, like I was saying, this specific thing that you brought up, it is terrible that this is happening. This happened. Wait, did someone do this to him or he did it to someone? I didn't quite catch that part. Did he do it to him or did someone do it to him? I'm sorry. Did someone do it to him? Huh?
Oh, sorry, my PC's crashing.
What did you say?
My PC's getting hacked. Oh shit.
No. Okay, sorry, we're gonna have to kick you from the call. Oh no. Sorry about that. It seemed like that person was having some weird technical difficulties. Luckily this time it was not us, but it's just amazing to me. Like, I believe someone was doing this to him, but either way, it's still so stupid to me how, like, in general, first of all, just because you do not like a celebrity, I do not endorse harassment. Under no circumstances do I want you, if you see someone, to go harass, hurt, do anything negative to any of these celebrities. You want to respectfully voice your opinions in the comments of this, or let them know about it, like via, I don't know, a comment or something, respectfully. Go do so. I completely encourage free speech, but I encourage free speech if it is reasonable. If it is reasonable, like this, voicing your opinions, at all as human beings. But the thing that amazes me, and Jennifer Lawrence has the right to do the same thing, but the thing that just amazes me is that so many people are like this. Are your technical glitches over?
Yeah, the technical glitches are over, but the hackers, they sent a message on my PC. They said I don't know.
This is completely off topic. I'm sorry if you keep either swearing or going off topic. I'm gonna block this number.
No, please don't. I just need to say one little thing. They said, shout out to the Buddhism Hotline Discord server.
No, okay, no. Goodbye. All right, there we go. Yeah, apparently that was a spam call as well. Unbelievable. I honestly do not know what is wrong with. I'm gonna have to start, like, getting what's the term? I'm gonna have to start getting people to go through these lists, and I'm gonna have to, like, sort out calls because we cannot keep having these throughout the show. I'm gonna have to start blocking more numbers because it seems like the more of these people I block, the more of them come up. But anyways, this is just what makes me so mad, because people treat these celebrities like a higher power. Okay, that's a bit of an exaggeration, but the point still stands that these celebrities have been overhyped to the point of insanity. I mean, you look at the fan base. What's a good example? Emma Watson, perfect example, or Jennifer Lawrence, but we just talked about her. I can only keep track of so many of these people, and I don't want to keep repeating myself. So Emma Watson, she was on. Here's a good example. She's done a ton of stuff that I totally disagree with, but unlike some of these other idiots who actually like root for violence, like Madonna, I gotta give her credit. She has not done that. So at least Emma Watson is rightfully exercising her right to free speech without becoming an idiot, at least in one regard, or at least in a different regard. But she was on MTV's what's the term? Not the term. I want to remember the name. MTV's, I believe it was Music or Movies Awards. And most of you probably don't know what MTV is because they are completely irrelevant. But MTV, they used to be cool. They used to post, like, music remixes, or on not on YouTube, because they didn't have YouTube when MTV was relevant in any way. MTV would make music remixes or make their own music and put it on television along with some shows and movies, I believe. And it was all really cool. But now suddenly they're going along with they're part of the PC police. And as an example, their awards for the music and movies and stuff this year, the whole theme of it was gender neutrality. Yep. I know. Everything there was politics there. Politics that. No, and can't be two-sided politics. On one hand, you got to have the right of free speech. On the other hand, it's only free speech if it's our free speech. Isn't that fantastic? But yeah, free speech only if it's our free speech. And the thing that just ticks me off so much about this is how these people get away with it. How can people still believe in these people like they are some sort of idol? How? Anyways, for this guy keeps finding other numbers, so we're sadly going to be turning off our calls for the duration of the show. Although we did get some genuine calls today, that was very nice. So any real genuine callers who called in, thank you so much for calling in. Thank you. We got a chat going on right now. I'm gonna answer those questions in a second after the show ends for future reference. But yeah, the thing is, just thank you. Looks like we already got a spam dislike. That's nice. That's nice because no one listed their opinions. I knew that was gonna happen sooner or later. But the thing that just floors me is how people still believe in these guys as false idols. And the list goes on and on and on. I mean, not all of these guys are bad. Like, some of them don't abuse their power. I actually talked about this on one of my earlier shows, like way earlier, talking like my first 3 shows, I think. I like to talk about Kevin Hart a lot of the time because I had seen a lot of stuff with him at the time. Kevin Hart, some of his stuff is actually pretty funny. And in 2016, he was going into the whole PC police dribble. But this year, it's changed. He actually said recently that he's not going to do any attacks politically on either side because he doesn't want to anger people. He wants to come out with funny, creative, unique, original content that he personally finds to be funny, cool, cute, kid-friendly, so on, or at least friendly for his audience regardless of political belief. And that's one of the reasons I've started becoming a Kevin Hart fan. Is because so many celebrities in his places do the corporate shilling sellout thing to get into more movies and go along with what the PC police are saying. Again and 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 again. That keeps happening. Anyways, if you guys have any advice as for how to completely block out these spammers, like if you know any phone call ciphering systems, or an alternative to Uber Conference, or like something involving Uber Conference, please let me know because these spam calls are just beyond annoying. Anyways, I hope you all have a great day. And remember, you might think spam calls are funny, but nobody else does. And if you do it, everyone will hate you for it. Goodbye.